going to talk about practicing a little bit today, okay? Because I notice with my students, a lot of times they think they're practicing, but they're not really practicing. It's like sometimes I go to the gym and you see people there and they think they're working out, but they're not working out. They're like lifting these little light weights, or they're walking on the treadmill looking at their phone or something. And practicing is like that too. So there's a difference between playing and practicing, right? So sometimes students go, I'm going to go practice, and then they go and they play songs they know already, or songs they like, or they kind of play licks that they like or something like that. But practicing has to have like specific goals and like perimeters that you stick to, right? And generally practicing should be working on something that you can't do yet, right? So when I talk to my students, sometimes I'll just practice with them and so I can show them how they should be practicing. Now, of course, this depends a lot on you know, how far you've evolved as a musician, your stage, and what kind of music that you want to be working on, right? So, I mean, there's not one pattern, but at least you want to have like a systematic approach to your practicing, really. Now, I'm really just talking about sort of the mechanics of playing, right? I'm not talking so much about learning music, and that's like a different aspect, right? You know, when you have to learn, if you're a professional musician, you spend a lot of time learning songs. Musicians generally don't say, I'm going to go practice when they're learning songs. They say, I have to go learn some songs. But sometimes you have to practice some of the parts of those songs, which means like repeating it until you can play it effortlessly and, you know, at the tempo that you need to play it for whatever the recording project is, or for maybe, you know, what the show is that you're playing to, okay? So today, I'm going to give you like an example practice session that I have done, and that sometimes I have my students done. Now, this is based more on like a jazz vocabulary and things like that. So, you know, like I said, this is stylistically one specific thing. But so part of your mechanics routine should be working on scales, right? And so today I'm taking an A7 vamp. It's pretty quick. I don't know, maybe like 130 or something. Just A7. And the goal here is that we're going to learn how to use jazz vocabulary to play over a dominant chord, right? And so first of all, you have to know that it's not going to be the blues scale so much as it's going to be a major scale. A7 is the 5 chord in D major. So we're going to play a D major scale over the A7 chord, okay? Now, you might want to call that A mixolydian. That's perfectly fine. It doesn't matter which way you want to look at it, all right? I left one little point out here that I need to mention before we get started here. So the reason this whole thing came about is because I was playing a gig, and a customer asked me about like how I get that jazzy sound when I play the blues, right? And so I explained to him, I said, well, I'm just playing in D major scale over the A7 chord. And he understood that. But he wanted to know specifically about like this lick that I played that goes like, and I do it all the time. And I tabbed it out for him. I just wrote it right out on the back of one of my charts and gave it to him. But I told him, I said, I'd be doing you a big disservice if I didn't explain how I came up with it. And I told him that when you practice the scale, you need to practice it in thirds and using chromatic approach notes. And, you know, you want to practice all the arpeggios and use those with chromatic approach notes. And I said, there's no limit to the amount of cool stuff that you can come up with. So I told him to learn the lick, but also learn the concept and practice it the way that I'm about to show you, okay? All right, so let's get going with this. First thing you want to do is make sure you know you can play the major scales, right? Some of my students can't really play the major scales so good. So I'm just taking this one specifically. Lowest note would be C sharp, and that's okay. It just happens to be the lowest note in this pattern that I'm practicing today, right? It may be tomorrow you change the pattern, but for today it's this one. So first thing, run the scale and make sure you can play it. I'm going to use a track. You could use a metronome because it tests you that you can play it in time, right? And that's where the true test is going to be. So I'm just going to play to an A7 chord. So I played eighth notes and I played triplets, but you get the point, right? And can you play it in good time? Is it natural, or you have to think about the notes a lot, right? So that's the first step. Now, since we're talking about jazz vocabulary, I'm going to teach you a little trick about chromaticism. And jazz is all about chromaticism. So playing the same scale, watch, when we have a half step, which would be between the C sharp and D, I'm not going to go right to the next note. I'm going to jump up to the note after, play the D note, and then go up because it's a whole set, go back, putting a chromatic note in between. Between this and this one, it's a whole step, you put a chromatic in between. I go from below to do it because it puts my fingers back in good position. Half step, jump up and back. Whole step so I can put one in between. Descending. Half step so I jump back and then to it. Okay, so if you're interested in this kind of thing, I gave you the quick explanation, but you can go and get the Barry Harris chromatic scale workout, and I get into a lot of details regarding how to play this scale using his chromatic guidelines, okay? It's like 100 and something pages, so let's try that. So again, you want to repeat this until it becomes natural, right? Okay, so next up, let's think about playing like sequences, right? So why don't we play this like in thirds, okay? So in that case, we're going to go. Okay, because we don't have a lot of time, let's just do these ascending for now, okay? You probably want to do them both ways, obviously, but for the time being, ascending. Played it in thirds, right? So next, let's do the same thirds, but with a chromatic approach note, like this, right? Here's the third, but with a chromatic approach note. You don't have to do it that way, though. You could play it this way too, and this is a little bit more challenging maybe, but it sounds cool. Right, so next, let's do another third sequence, but this time, instead of going, we're going to play the first note and then play the chromatic neighboring tone, and then play the first note again. right? This is sort of a real strong jazz motif. Let's try this one. Okay, good. So next up, let's see. Let's try triads, okay? So now we're moving on to more of the arpeggios from the scale, right? So okay, so again, before you play it to the track or to a metronome, you know, you want to repeat it a lot so that you don't struggle with keeping it in time, right? And then you can test yourself. Okay, good. So next, why don't we try it with a chromatic approach note? Right, like this. All right, so that was kind of challenging, right? Next, let's see. Yes, seventh arpeggios, right? So for jazz vocabulary, we like to approach these with well, let's just not do that yet. Let's just practice them without any chromaticism first, just like we did with the triads, okay? So right, this kind of thing, okay? Right, now I'm just giving you the examples. You want to like repeat this a lot, right? You should spend like an hour doing like this workout that we're doing today. Okay, so next up, let's do the the seventh arpeggios with chromatic approach notes. So it's going to be like this. Okay. Okay, good. So that was kind of hard for me. I had to do this 2 or 3 times because I kept screwing up that E minor 7. It's hard to play for me. I guess it's because it's with the pinky. So, I mean, that's why you practice, right? Because, you know, when you stick to strict guidelines, you get challenged with certain techniques that if you were just playing randomly, you would probably skip over, okay? So, anyways, next is pivot arpeggios, okay? So in this case, the third, the fifth, and the seventh go below the root rather than going. We're going to go. Okay, so these are a little bit challenging too, but just good vocabulary, and it's important to get these under your fingers. Right, so if you're practicing all of these exercises for like 5 minutes a piece, that'd be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, that'd be like 45 minutes if you did these 5 minutes a piece. But you develop nice technique, and you'd remember the shapes and the sounds, right? And so, I mean, if I was you, what I would do is like, this is one scale pattern, right? Tomorrow I would do a different scale pattern in a different key. And Just like change it up every day so it's random. And if you do this for like a month or 2 months or something, you'll be surprised what you can do. Now, remember, part of the game is to have a little bit of fun, right? So you have to be able to take these things and make music out of them. So if you don't own them, it ain't going to turn into music, right? If you're like wondering about fingers and sounds and things, it's not going to be natural, all right? So, you know, experiment by mixing a lot of these things together, okay?